First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And I'm going to piggyback off this brother's video right here, GMS KC Prophets 3. And I'm going to play the video and just show you, the state of our people right now. As it says up top, chaos in Houston as black women wait overnight for hair store grand opening to get free bundles. Now listen up.
There was a grand opening of a new hair store in North Houston, and it was a complete show, okay? They advertised this super sale, said they would give away free bundles, and of course, tons of people showed up. You even had people camping out in front of the store the night before. It was looking like the old school Black Friday, but in the summertime. A whole Boondocks episode. Customers waited all night long, and this is what it looked like by the morning. Complete chaos. People arguing, fighting, maced. I heard somebody. Customers waited all night long, and this is what it looked like by the morning. Complete chaos. People arguing, fighting, maced. I heard somebody got hit by a car. At least 2 people had to get rushed to the emergency room, and HPD had to come shut the whole thing down. We're about to get into it, but first, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. If you're watching from Houston, drop Houston below in the comments. Won't waste any time, let's go ahead and get into it.
They surround the building, all the way to the dumpster, all the way to the street, like...
Houston, seriously, like, y'all really gotta stop. Like, it's no reason why y'all should be at this hair galleria acting a fool like this, y'all. First of all, I got up early this morning, y'all. I got about 5 something. I'm like, oh, I'm finna go to the stove, finna get me some hair. I wasn't even going for the bundles for real. I was going for the bundles, but if I was to get them, I was gonna get them. I was going for the pack hair, for the braiding hair. Because if you don't know, I'm doing a back to school drive, and I need the braiding hair. So I'm like, okay, period, let me go. I get there, it's about 5 something. Baby, the line is wrapped around the building. I'm like, yeah, see, I don't got time for this. I don't got time. Baby, it's no reason why Houston, y'all should be having people getting maced and this and that and this and that and people fighting behind a beauty supply? Like, are we serious, Houston? Like, it's no way y'all serious. Like, come on, like, seriously. Like, I get it. People really don't be having the funds during school time, so this was the perfect time. But let me tell y'all something. Y'all better be making sure them kids getting their hair combed before you put them 30-inch bundles up in your head. Like, let's be serious. Like, y'all was not standing in line for y'allselves. Them kids, y'all was standing in line for y'allselves. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Like, for real. Like, y'all don't even get up that early to make it to church in the morning on one day out the week. But y'all standing in front of the hair galleria from 3 p.m. the other day. Like, god dang, baby. So y'all was standing in line preparing y'allself, waiting on this. But y'all can't get up and go to church. Y'all can't make sure these kids is on time to school. Y'all cannot make sure these kids get to these doctor's appointments up.
Sad. Right, and you heard it right there. Okay, you heard it right there. Yet all these black women pop up and get up real early to go and get some fake ass hair when they can't even get up on time to take their kids to school. And that right there shows you the priority or the mindset of the Israelite woman, which is me, 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 me. Okay, these are the curses being fulfilled that we can read about in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 56, it says, "The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter." Right, so at one point, whether you can believe it or not, these women, they actually used to be feminine. Right, you look at the black woman today as a hyena, but at one point, they were feminine. Right, they didn't speak out all crazy. They were in order, right? It's something that you can't even, wrap your mind around today because we're so far gone. But It says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Right? She wouldn't even put her foot upon the ground, barefoot, because she was that delicate. It says, her eye shall be evil toward her husband, toward her son, and toward her daughter. And that's why you see how, the black woman hates the black man, like the devil. Right? The black woman talks about, hey, fuck the black man. Fuck the black man. This and that. Oh, he a broke nigga. Right? You always see the double standards in society. For example, if you got a black woman working at McDonald's, they uplift her, talking about, go queen, right? You the shit, you getting your bag up. But if you got a black man working at McDonald's, oh, he a bum, he a broke ass nigga, right? Sorry ass. And, those are just those double standards and those curses being in play. Now, a key point here, dealing with this lesson, it says that her eye shall be evil toward her son and toward her daughter, going into her children. And this is an example of that, right? When you prioritize getting fake hair, over taking care of your, seed, that right there is evil. Because, yeah, you always see those videos, man. You always see those videos of, the black woman out here celebrating getting those, that child support check, out here, using that whole child support check on, literally hair, nails, to go out in the club. And, when these women go get these things, all this at the end of the day is vanity. Because they only, they get all this hair, they get all the nails, they get all the, all that, what's it called, the makeup, to ultimately go to the club and get a nigga. Right? That's what it's all about, is for themselves, to go get a nigga, to go get ran through, and so their kids could be back at home eating Cheerios, eating fucking ravioli, Chef Boyardee, getting no nutrition, and just the bottom of the barrel. So, this might sound like an exaggeration, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Go to any of these hoods, go to any of these barrios, that's exactly what you see. There's a bunch of hyenas out here shaking ass with no fucking hair. And, that no hair thing is actually, it's another curse. Right, let's get that in Isaiah chapter 3. And I'll start at verse 16. It says, moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Right? So they have that prideful spirit. Right? They walk, with their neck up like they're the shit. Like their shit don't stink. Okay? Wanton eyes, which wanton goes into undisciplined. Right? Here it is, you got a woman that's married, but she's, looking at every single nigga up and down, checking them out while she has a man right next to him. Right? Completely wicked. Walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. It says, therefore the Lord will smite with the scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Right? And when you go into that scab, that's dealing with the fact that he took away their hair. Right? He made these bitches bald, right, to take away that pridefulness. And, you see it. That's why, what is the primary demographic here? The black woman, right? Because they don't got no fucking hair. Okay? The Lord literally cursed them. And it's so crazy that, even with no hair, scriptures talk about how, the glory of a man is his woman, and the glory of a woman is her hair. Right? So even with no hair, these bitches are still prideful. That shows you the delusion that they have. But it says, in that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cause and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers and the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Right? So all that, nice things that they have, talking about luxury, designer, all those things that they have right now. The Lord's going to get rid of all that shit. And, there's always that saying that, these bitches stink. And it goes back to the scriptures. Instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink. Okay? And instead of well-set hair, baldness. That's why you see that primary demographic out there. The Israelite woman. Shit, they ain't got no hair. So, hey, look at this. I don't see no white person in sight. And, the Israelite woman has so low self-esteem that she doesn't even grow out her own hair when she has hair. Right? That's another thing is that here it is, you'll have a woman that she can grow out her hair perfectly fine, but she looks at herself, like the bottom of the barrel. She looks at her curls, her sheep hair as, oh, this shit fucking sucks. This is a pain in the ass. I'd rather have that straight hair, that blonde hair like the white woman. When you, in actuality, you look at, that white, leper's hair, okay, it was a curse to have that type of hair, right? It's literally a form of leprosy. And, whenever a woman would have that, pretty much disease, they should be put out of the camp. All right, let's see if I can bring that up. Leprosy. Let me see if I can find it. Let's go. Leviticus 13 and 30. Right, so Leviticus 13 and 29 says, if a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scale, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. Right, so hey, that right there shows you that yellow, that blonde hair, hey, that's just a curse. It's unclean to have that type of hair. But here it is, these women, think that that's the best of the best, to be like Esau. Says, and if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up that had the plague of the skull 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave. And the priest shall shut him up that he had the skull 7 days more. Right? So there's a whole process to cleanse that shit because it's not clean. Okay, it's an unclean thing. So we'll end it with this. Go into how folly is set in great dignity. And we'll get the definition of folly. So what does folly mean? It says folly, a lack of good sense, foolishness. Right, so a foolish act, idea, or practice. Foolishness, right, is set in great dignity. Lack of good sense. Now, what does it say? In Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 6, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. Right, so a foolishness in this society is what's viewed as, wisdom. Here it is, instead of these women being wise and taking care of their household and using, the rest of the money they have towards, building the family, helping out their husbands if they even have any, they'd rather go spend it on some fucking fake hair, some fake Chinese hair, right? So that's that foolishness being set in a high place. And when it talks about the rich, sit in low place, and the next verse, I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. That's going into how, the Israelites are at the bottom and these heathen are up top. Right, so these heathens in actuality are our servants. Right now, they are upon horses. They are the ones that are ruling. And it says the princes walking as servants upon the earth. Right, going into the Israelites being at the bottom of society. And your Israelites today are, as a collective, the so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans. And we'll read the curse where it talked about how that was also going to take place in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Right? We're going to be at the bottom of society. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right? And think about, whenever you ever seen, a Jake with a bunch of wealth where he has so much where he can lend to other people? The answer is never. Right? Who owns the big banks? Hey, it's a bunch of just Jewish people, which they are Edomites, okay, not Israelites. So, in whatever way you slice it and dice it, you come to the same conclusion. The curses, the Bible, the prophecies are speaking in full effect. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. Hopefully this is edifying. Without to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahushua B'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.